Good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American, oops, oh no. Well, I mean, we might as well go. No, let's go. I forgot to put the time and all that. It's already started, so everybody click on. Welcome. Forget the mess up on the title. You guys know what I meant. So tonight we're going to be joined by Jim Redwolf and Rabel, and we're going to talk about the situation that it's not really a situation. I think it's just how the way we look and grab stuff and how things are presented to us and how we ingest it. We're going to look at this menace to a whole bunch of us, what we call something called gangs. And we're going to take a different look at it from the look we've been given all of our life about what gangs are. From where I come from, I'm from the city, Los Angeles. And when you hear about gangs there, you hear about all these brothers killing each other, blah, blah, causing all this mayhem. But we're going to take a different approach to that tonight. And helping me do that is going to be Jim Redwolf and Rabel. So, Jim Redwolf, you have the floor.
Awesome. Man, I like to go off the top of the head, and I just gave them a little wish call before we came on. I want y'all to hear this. First, I'm going to use definitions, and then I'm going to tie it in. Now, the benefit is this. I don't have no respect for no gangs. I know that people play on it. They utilize this thing like, well, I have a family, and this is what I did. Don't snitch, and all these different things while causing pain and suffrage in our communities. This is coming to an end. All right. We know there's a lot of dead folks running around creating this stuff and creating this pain. But we need to know, we need to understand facts versus fiction. So what we're going to do is I'm going to break down something. Let's look at the word clique, or cliche. All right. Here, a narrow exclusive circle of or group of persons, especially one held together by common interests, views, or purposes, like a high school clique. Okay. Now we know what gangs we're talking about, and the ones we're talking about are the symptoms, the little ones, the Bloods, the Cribs, the Vice Lords, the GDs, all this, the Latin Kings. Symptoms. A problem that the big gangs like to hear and see and know about. Now let's get into the click meaning. In the dictionary, it states a short, sharp sound as of a switch being operated or of two hard objects coming quickly into contact. She heard the click of the door. It sounds like a gang breaking in to me. But anyway, you can take a lot from that. But here, let's get into the verb. Make or cause to make a short, sharp sound as to a switch being operated or of two hard objects. But then when we go back to a noun, we see that it actually leans as far as an act of selecting an option of an electronic interface by pressing a button or touching a screen. Is normal for a click to select an item. Now, this is the click, the same click. You believe have two different meanings. You need to go and read these and see the comparison. Now let me go to the next one, to the gang meaning. And we're going to jump right into the word that is relationship to the click. An act of selecting an option on electronic interface. This is what I'm talking about. This is gang. Look it up yourself. The symptoms our people running around is based on what? What is a gang? We think it's people running around with bandanas, groups that clicked up when I was like wearing white bandanas around their neck. That's not a gang. You know what the gang is? The corporations. The school to prison system. That's a gang. The COs, the police department, the medical industry, the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the GA Summit is a big gang. Okay? And all of these things have no good natural use for anything. You see what's going on with the gangs right now? When I was in the military, we were a gang. We identified as a gang in the military. My grandma used to say when she was a candy striper and she became a nurse, retired at 82, she's like, I was proud to be part of that gang. Them gang good women I work with. So right now, who's manipulating the gangs? And what is the purpose of the gang? It is no fucking good. And I'm holding my tongue back right now. It really is no good. I see the little members running around over here. Navajo, Mexican. and they're sick. We need family. The gang disrupts the family. Without the family, you have these gangs. Why don't you take it, Rob?
You know what? These from the way I see it, the gangs, they're here to mask the gangs that we see, that we're used to. I'm from Chicago. My people is from Clarksdale, Mississippi. But the gangs that we see, they're here to mask the real gangs that have all the power, like the hospital, even the churches, the um, the police department. These gangs are here to mask that. It's here
Mm,
to give us an illusion and to be fearful of these gangs, but they're not the real gangs because really they have no power.
mm,
You know, they try to scare us, but they have no power. The real power is like the government. That's a gang.
mhm,
And the reason why we don't acknowledge that is because they dress up real nice. On their outer appearance, they more presentable than the people that's out, than the gang members that's out here. So we
mm.
accept their judgment. You know, if these gangs out here is bad, the hospital and this government, they gangs too. But we don't look at them as gangs. We look at them as though if they give us information, it's the truth. And they have been able to run this on us all our lives. We just begin to cipher stuff about 5 years ago. We've just been able to figure them out. It's been about 5 years ago. Now we can see what they're doing. I'm talking about it was some people that knew the truth, but I'm talking about a mass of us that we can look at it and see when it's BS being ran on us. We used to didn't be able to figure it out. We thought that they were all real. For example, you look at Obama. This was a man that was through in front of us. He was just through in front of us. We didn't know where he came from. And we accepted it because all they had to do was show us a melanated face and we ran with it. The same thing as this woman who's running for Supreme Court.
Mhm.
We don't know where this woman came from, but they put her in our face, and you can clearly see she's not indigenous, but they put her in our face, and we supposed to cling on to that because we see a melanated face. That's an old strategy you used on people that wasn't enlightened like we are. We on a different level now. We're not on that same level, but they're still using the same tactics they used 20 years ago.
My version of gangs, being from Los Angeles, everybody knows about that gang thing there. And to me, listening to what Jim and Rabel is saying, when she was saying it was used to for us to obscure the fact of what gangs really are. And all these cats in LA did. I mean, check them out now. They're damn near wiped out in LA because, like all these other gangs, you have I mean, every country in the world is represented in Los Angeles. But what the gangs, the so-called Negro gangs in LA didn't do, they didn't look up for their community. All those communities are being taken by outside gang forces. And those gangs that we grew up with that killed millions of us. And so that's what our gangs do. Our gangs wipe us out for the greater gang. That's what the gangs do. So now when you go to LA, where the gangs at? They're not really doing anything for the community from where they come from and the communities they destroyed all these years. It's just been a waste of time and life, on that level. But the level you're talking about, these gangs, these corporations and all that, clearly we can see that they've moved in and become the biggest gangs of all.
Now we get to the meat potatoes. A lot of people think that the gangs was a 1980 or 1960s and 70s, Bronx burning, gangs in New York, a bunch of felonious shit. The first gang in secrecy, first thing they did was set out to change the medicine from the truth of healing to petroleum base. The gang before that was to conspire how to enslave everybody. So it took a major gang when they decided to bring down Tartaria and construct the World's Fair to redistribute a new history, a new narrative. All the gangs we see today were created by the FBI and CIA. They're the biggest and worst gang. You have a gang attempting to take your constitutional rights and your Bill of Rights that was made by us because they no longer recognize us as who we truly are. Now we see where the gang plays a role, vice fact versus fiction. The fact is gangs exist. The fiction is the deflection to make us look at little gangs running around the street causing that little tiny bit of mayhem. When the big gangs, just one of them, their leader just told you, we about to have a food shortage. After spending trillions of dollars, want to give you $600 and want to put 13 billion to a group of people that have been fighting since goddamn 1700. See, the biggest gang nobody's paying attention to because, again, what does the media show? Little Smokey Robinson and little Tommy Longhorn over here done beat the lady in the head with a hammer and robbed so-and-so at the pizzeria or at the dispensary. Well, if the big gangs didn't create the fucking problems that we have, you wouldn't have these little gangs. And if we didn't have some skin folk who ain't kinfolk betraying life, another gang, we wouldn't have what we have. See, the gang is bigger than what we perceive, and nobody really wants to address that. So, and not to bring him into this because I'm not no bandwagon on there, but Charlie Wright, I used to bang on him in Florida just like that. I used to be like, y'all, I used to go out in the middle of the street and say, y'all some punk asses, y'all. See, unlike him, I'm a fighter. And a shooter. I don't want to harm nobody. But let me tell you something. Don't come around me with that shit. Because see, there's a lot of us now who not just woke up, but starting to turn on. We've had enough of all these foolish ass gangs. We want family. You know what family is? A clan based off of a tribe who's supported by a fucking nation. See, that's real family. This obstruction here, and I know my sister could talk about some of that with like child protective services, right? You see how they move? It's like the deputy sheriffs with no knock warrant come in your house and kill everybody and then kill everybody innocent. Gangs moving like rogues in the night. We've got to get out this gang fucking mentality. We got to get back to the light of who we are. Get out this darkness. And you already know the words I've shared. And people have a hard time dealing with them words. If you don't have a hard time dealing with black, colored, and Negro, you shouldn't have a hard time dealing with the sound Shana, which is darkness, and Hawa, which is light. And you need to work on them things. Because see, right now, we're seeing that even in this so-called indigenous community, gangs clicking up. The worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I can't stand none of this bullshit.
Ain't it embarrassing?
Man, I'll be wanting to get them in the ring. All them tough asses. Hey, look, I know a couple of rings in Texas. I know some rings in LA. I know a couple of rings down in Phoenix. Fly your ass over there. Fucking grandma truck. Fly your ass over there. I don't give a fuck how many cigarettes you smoke. If you ain't run, just get your ass in the ring and take the speed nuts. Take this pumpkin patch.
Rabel?
Well, you know what? In the part I don't understand, everything they do, they repeat themselves. That everything they do is a new face, but it's the same thing. And it's like when you try to say something, it's like people on your page, when you try to say something different, because not to, Kerry Davis, you came out with Kerry, you came out with that video in 2012. That's been 10 years ago. And we're moving past that because we're people of royalty, but that's been taken from us. This is why we like expensive stuff. We're not just your average type person, but we're people of royalty. And they have taken us so far down to the point we think that we're these slaves, so we're moving up. We already been up. We going back to where we were at. And it's these gangs, and the main gang to me is the Boule. The Boule is the gatekeepers. They are the ones who keep us under control so we don't act crazy. So they tell us when they come out with foolishness and they tell us foolishness, we not supposed to say anything. We're supposed to believe in this government and believe we're going to get peace and justice through this government, which is a game. And we never get it. You know, and when you try to, they'll say they indigenous now. That's fine. But when you try to go a little further with them, they don't want to go no further. It's okay if you say you indigenous. And the only reason the Pan-Africans haven't been, which is a game too, haven't been able to get in with us is the way we're doing it, because we're giving you the information free. And so if you want to donate, you donate, but we're giving it to you free. We're not charging you nothing. And they're going along with the indigenous part, but they want to curve it and still put that African in it, because it's clearly about the land. It's clearly about the land, and a lot of our stuff is still here. But because a lot of people, you have to, you know what? When I first started out, Carrie Davis, Carrie, you are a scholar, and I know this. And I know a lot of scholars on my page. I could have bugged you. Carrie, what about this? Carrie, I never did that, but I looked it up myself because I understand you have a life. You know, you can only do so much. You one person. So I had to look up a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want you to tell them everything and they never want to look. In order for you to be enlightened, you got to do your research. So it's within you. So you can feel it. When somebody try to come and tell you stuff, you can feel that they lying to you. And you know the truth. A lot of us, we don't want to do that. This is why they get entangled in the boule. You still want to talk about celebrities. We done with that. We done with celebrities. They put them in our face because we were so used to, because we thought we was close to a dog, because this is where they put us at. And we was nothing but pure royalty. So when we see the melanated person in office or somewhere, we got happy. Obama was the last straw to that. He sat in there 8 years and didn't do a damn thing. All he had to do was act like he was melanated, act like us. And he didn't even know us.
So would you say us, the people, we're a gang too? You know, I know like we're broken into so many different sectors, you know, but like you said, you know, passing out this information, seeing those of us who can see, if we keep going in this direction, it's like we're going downhill fast. Do you think those people who don't learn, who don't care, who don't think, who don't research anything, would you say that's a gang too?
I would say that. That's a gang. Because they don't, that's just like, I got on somebody, you know, because I listen to a lot of people and they fight me. It's no way. This is the truth. What we giving you and us being indigenous to America, that's true. That part is true. Why are we fighting amongst one another about a man? Why are we fighting? If I tell you so, if I say that I'm indigenous and you two, y'all my brothers, why would, when I talk to you, Carrie, why would I discuss what me and you talk about with James?
Right.
And it's vice versa. That's how you have to be. You have to be real with whatever you do.
Right.
But when you fighting amongst each other, that's a game. That's a clique. It's a game.
Right.
And it's about one thing about this, you can never be in competition. That's our downfall. Us trying to be better than the next person. And all we want is to be free. Have land and be free. That's what everybody wants. But you have people out here, you know, it is embarrassing to see that. To see people out here, you spit knowledge in one hand, and then on another, in another hand, people fighting against you or are fighting you, and y'all fighting amongst each other, but you all say that you here to spread the message of us being indigenous. What's the problem there?
So so what? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Carrie. You good.
So
Yeah,
one of the things that we were talking about last
that's
night.
right.
So you heard what's going on up in Tennessee. They're
Hmm.
trying to take over this black town where all the people are the government because they're trying to bring a lithium plant there.
Hmm.
So this is what I mean how gangs, the gangs that we're talking about just destroy us. Now this is up in Tennessee. All these indigenous people up there, but of course everybody is broken into these other gangs, Moors, Hebrew Israelites, Christians, and the town has less than 2,000 people. Do you know how hard it is to get people together when you got so many gangs competing, trying to put their mark on something, and none of them know what the hell they talking about? See, that's to me is I know the gangs causes destruction physically, like James was saying, how they go and knock people over the head for their resources, but how the confusion that they create psychologically, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I wanted to tap in with this, and I love my internet acted up because I knew they was going to do that over here. I got about 50 different ways I can come at this. I even got some notes that I wrote down. I'm not even going to tap into those. I don't even have to tap into them. 'Cause I do that too. I've got some books, references of sources. We can even use Machiavelli, which I have 2 of them. But I'm not going to use that. Like I said, before I went in the military, I was a drug dealer, gang member, a pimp, ignorant as fuck. Yeah, I was a pimp and didn't even have sex till I was 18. I was all about this, getting a whole bunch of this shit. That's all I wanted. That was all I thought was the answer. 18, making $25, Metuchen, New Jersey, Rabel line. Still going to Harlem, seeing chopped up bodies in the bathtub, all gang related. It would be pleasant for me to be able to say, I see all these people in this indigenous community. I hate that word. And people heard me on Facebook and Instagram say I hate that community, and I don't even like that. All right, because these motherfuckers are nothing but mem masters, and when they ran out of mems, they started fighting amongst each other. And what's the worst part? They show that they're the gang mentality, because they don't know how to compromise and show morality. They rather stay in an argumentative state. Gang affiliation, you can see that with you can see number of them all clicked up. And what they do is, if they like what this one's saying, they'll defriend you. Like, that makes absolutely no goddamn sense. See, we're our own worst enemy, even when we're professing to be something, and most people are doing it for a damn bag. We do this shit for free, like Sister Ross said. Carrie tell you in a minute, I'd pay somebody if they really had the wisdom to come on. See, we want to build a real foundation. This is going to take people like right here. We ain't about the bullshit. We're not about the bullshit. I'm willing to go set up a separate bank account and give everybody the fucking number to deposit without withdrawing, and then give it to a certain individual to monitor when we can purchase the land, and we meet up and look at land to purchase. See, that's how we can fucking move. We don't even know how to keep our money changing our hand, not even one time at that. Because we're fucked up with some fake gang mentality. We don't know the game. We're just in a gang mentality. A worthless ass bunch of niggas running around who don't know nothing from nothing. But I'm going to do for self. See, doing for self, person that really does for self, they're going to do it with enlightenment. And it's not selfish. It's selfless. See, when people say they're doing for self, it's selfish. And it's a gang mentality, because it's click thing. And until people realize that and change up, we can never be family. See, family is better than gangs. Because see, when I was at home with my mama, my grandmama, and all that, I wasn't around no goddamn gangs. Even though the gangs were hard at work, you're doing what they were doing. But we venture out, and I got caught up in the gangs. Because it's all over. Like he's talking about over there with the lithium battery thing, the gentrification. It's worse than that. That's our land. We belong to the land. These motherfuckers and their gang mentality, they don't care. They got fake white supremacy. Most of them liberals you see in California and New York and all them pale skins, they believe you're supposed to give them ID. Who is you? They so paranoid, but yet so in love with you that you rolling into the same garage with these motherfuckers and they gang white supremacist narrative of being a liberal. Don't mean being liberal in anything. That they'll question you, call the popo on you. Gangs and gangs and gangs. Nothing family oriented. Nothing about real love. It's like if you want to talk, is there metaphysics involved? Like, let's get to the meat of this shit. Every time I see one of these shootings, right? You ever watch how the police walk around? You ever get to watch some of those behind the scene videos where the people request to have the camera? And you hear some of them laugh. Oh, it's just another one. Gang, but people don't care no more. We need to establish I got to use this word right now, a community to have a safe environment where we can be a family with no outside intrusion or influence. And that's not a gang. We're talking about some family shit.
You want to go, Karen? Hello?
No, Rabel, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, to elaborate on that, you know what? One thing I think that, you know, that's just like, we understand this government is falling. We get that. But one thing we have to do, we have to get our mindset right first, because our mindset in the melanated community is not right. Mm-hmm. A lot of our people, they waking up, but they waking up slow. Now now we got the indigenous part, we got that. Now it's time for us to build more. You know, our mindset, because we got pedophiles in our community. We got rapists in our community. We got people that just don't care about themselves. They selfish. It's our mindset have to change. All these people that have became enlightened didn't become enlightened for nothing. It was a reason why you became enlightened. But you have to build on that. As an individual, you have to build on that. If this government fall today, do we have enough people out there with the right mindset? Now, we got a lot of people out here saying they're indigenous now. But what about the mindset? That's the problem right there. Because it's so many. That's just like, I put up a post about this this nomination, this Supreme Judge, the Supreme Judge, or whatever they want to call it.
Jajenka, whatever the fuck her name is.
As soon as I put that out, you can see the resist of me putting it out. Because they don't, it's okay. We can say we indigenous. But don't sit up and I had to delete like 5 people from my page this week, because they keep telling me don't separate the Africans from the Americans. Hold up, wait a minute. You say that, but you don't understand what they're trying to do. And these so-called important roles that they have, like what she's about to do. They don't want your bloodline in this government.
Nope.
They don't want that. But they want the people to look like us, but they not us, because they want to take the land. They don't want us to fight. They don't want us to fight at all. They don't want us to look at these Africans like that. But we have to.
That's right.
Because they're not here. That woman will never help us.
No.
She's not there for that. She's
here to further destroy us. You're right.
And the thing about it, they have sent her there because they know she ain't gonna do nothing. She don't have a voice. And she don't mind sitting there because this ain't her land. She don't mind sitting there. She'll sit there and get that paycheck. Because what melanated people, we have gotten to the point where long as we look a certain way, long as we have a house, we empty inside, we ain't got nothing to give nobody when it comes to morals. But as long as we can sit in a house and wear the finest of clothes while everybody else is suffering, you okay with that?
It's fucked up, man.
And we all suffering. Even if we like, we may have, all three of us, we may have a house to live in, have a car to drive. But to see our people suffering like we seeing, this is why we all talking.
It's painful. It's fucking painful. It pisses us off.
Yeah, we gotta talk, because if we don't, if we don't get it together right now, it's a wrap for us. Because they constantly getting people that's not us, that look like us. The same thing they did with Obama. Just look at this right here. I'm not gonna be too long, but look at us. Look at this right here. They called Obama, Barack Obama. They said that he was like he was a junior. He was the second, Barack Hussein Obama, whatever his name is. They say his father is the one who named him that. His mother and father was married and he named him that. Okay, but when the children who knew him came out, they called him Barry Bonds or something like that, Barry. So if he was a junior, don't the father got to be there? Why did he change his name? See, we don't think on this level because we're taught never to think. Whatever they say, you do. But when you start investigating it,
Nigerian and German.
Yeah, you see something that's seriously strange here. How I've never seen a man become a junior and the father didn't sign the birth certificate. The father have to be there, if I'm not mistaken. So you should have never had to change your name from Barry to Barack. And a lot of us, we was lined up to see this man, lined up to vote, not see him, but vote for him. He come on TV. I was one of them. And and I learned from that. That's what pissed me off when I see these people and I know that they're not indigenous to America.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you'll have people get on your post and say silly stuff because they mad at what you say. Even though it's the truth, but they mad about it. Because they don't want to hear that. They want us to be stuck, just like we were stuck on Jesus. Be stuck, you indigenous. That's enough. Don't say nothing else.
They show their emotional unstableness. And I'm so done. The next time I see a motherfucker showing I'm Indian, I'm indigenous, my family, and then I'm just going to delete it. Nigga, if you don't know you Indian after all these years of doing the same shit back and forth, you ain't convincing me no more.
So what do you?
They didn't. A lot of
that's a gang mentality, and people aren't noticing. They're stuck. That's just they're showing the symptoms. All right, because it's the same motherfuckers doing it. I can put some names out there, but I'm not here for that. Yeah. I'm here to show the fact versus fiction. That's what we're talking about. Facts versus fiction. We believe gangs to be Snoop Dogg and I'm looking stupid up there, a deflection, doing the crip walk. He made his million, but he want to call himself the Lion. See, it's a big game up there. A lot of y'all understand these motherfuckers are deep in that Luciferian shit. I don't care what you think. The last 30 years of hip hop has been some fucked up shit. All right? Gang mentality. All right? The problem is the people that we dealing with, they're stuck and they don't even know it. They're not about moving forward. They're not about the things we're talking about, how to become a family. They're happy with the little family they have, and they're going to break that one. What they say, it take a nation and a tribe and all that good shit. We don't have that. They destroyed that from the 20s to the 60s and doing wars. The reset has been ongoing. And gangs is just another portion of the reset. We have to stop the gang mentality. The bandwagon is the symptom. The jumping on every bandwagon because you feel good for the moment. I'm tired of people talking about, see, I respect Kerry, the indigenous one. He already told you who he is. If you don't know it, there's something wrong with you. But you don't see him miming everybody to death every fucking day. He's got a platform he's using to tell people, look, we must be proactive. And sitting there on Facebook and Instafuck and Fakebook and everything else, miming everybody all goddamn day. That's like hanging on the same block by the same liquor store, flipping the same goofy ass weed and crack.
Uh,
Shit.
it's funny, Rebel, you bring up Barack Obama. And I'll never forget the first time he won for president. I was in Los Angeles. And if you've ever been in Los Angeles, they got like one of the longest streets in Los Angeles is a street called Crenshaw Boulevard.
Mm.
They had Negroes backflipping for blocks. This is like the return of Jesus. So and so I mean, seriously,
Palm leaves, palm trees and shit out there waving at.
dude, it was the coolest shit ever. And I'm like, and so and he was, well, I don't forget when he was the first president, but it had to be what, damn near 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Till now, these cats still think Barack is gonna come save them. So that's what I mean about the gang mentality. The gang mentality of just being dumb. You know, just to be dumb, and they don't seem to mind. It's cool. We can be dumb. And to me, that's the hugest game. Because like somebody in the chat said, all we keep doing is repeating the same motion. We don't even learn from the mistakes.
What happened to that? When we know better, we do better. I don't see none of that.
None of that. None of that. And so we pass this stuff on to our kids, and you see already they trying to get your kids out of here with that girls be boys, boys be girl. All that is to cut the population down. What quickest way to decimate the population than to not have any children? And we going in it, we cool with it. They putting it in our face. Even the cats that they pay to put that stuff in our face, they gonna pay dearly. Dude, you got here from a mother and father. Now you're telling somebody else not to do it. Dude, are you serious? This is where we at?
I want y'all to help me. I want you to help me, both of y'all, chronologically. I'm doing this in parts. 1920, after the World's Fair, we had World War I, right? It had just ended.
Right.
So we had the recession. What was the first thing they did? How much of their land did they take from us? I want y'all to work with me on this. Follow. How much of the land did they take from us? Because see, we were the farmers.
Right.
And how many people in 1940 were coming off them boats, ain't been part of no goddamn war, Civil War, nothing, and moving right into our homes in the South and the North.
That's right.
And fucking our people up. We have been fighting for so long, it's unbelievable. Now chronologically. Well, World War II came. We're not going to talk about the stuff in between. The 1950s. That's when racism really took off. Who was in office? What was the Reconstruction era? The changing of the creation of the White House, white supremacy. Who were the presidents? Who were the people involved? The Federal Reserve. And then first, after those deaths of our great men, we had the Korean War. And that's when the destruction of our men started. They were keeping our men out in the field non-stop, no R&R. Because that's how many fighting devils they called us. And everywhere I went around seas, I heard these incredible stories of how people fought. But we're not talking about what was happening to the mama and the baby at home. What happened to the communities, the structure? There were no gangs. We didn't want no gangs. But you had all that fucked up liquor because we were the pioneers of alcohol making. Now they got all this chemical and this messed up stuff. Now the more farmland's being taken. So when the families come back, we get Vietnam. Korea, we get Vietnam, right? And all of a sudden now we don't hardly have anything chronologically. Gangs start to sprout up. Vietnam, when in our communities. Now we're struggling because in order for the sisters to get some money from the government to when all the Pelicans were getting it from right off the back from us, they couldn't have a man in the house. Them two CIA agents paid by the Rothschilds. School was only about 3 to 4 hours. And most of our people were walking because they had already took the cars and everything and stopped all that. It's back to the horse and buggy. And the people that could afford it were the Negroes who sold out. So what happened to us? Our family was destroyed. Not all of them, but enough to get the work done. To have enough people walking around ignorant. Fathers missing from homes. Mamas taking care of their pain by alcohol, or struggling and suffering and doing the best they could without the man. Gangs, on our part, were going to happen. And they made sure it happened. And the further decimation and destruction of our people, which we've been watching for the last 30 years, 40 years. Chronological. Now, there's much stuff that can be added in there. That's why I said add in there. I don't want to lay it all out there. This has been done by the largest gang. You can call them bankers. They own everything. They fuck the food up. Everything has been systematic to get us to the point where we're nothing but slaves.
Controlled by the very few.
The top gang.
And that's why it's imperative that we be dumb, because these are very few doing it to the many.
And they don't. And if we start acting like family, they're gonna come running in.
But see, that right there, that's what it is. They don't want us to get the structure back. This is why they're trying to hijack what we have going on. The people that's out here, they're trying to hijack it. This is why they mess with our channels and do whatever they have to do, because they want. That's just like Tariq. He got some, what you call that, foundational Black Americans. Where if you go and you will see like Indians on the page now. But you was Pan-African, you was some type of pimp, you did some pimpology stuff. Now you talking about foundational Black Americans, because they're trying to hijack, because why they're trying to do that, because they don't, people like us that's real with it, they want us to go somewhere.
Yeah, wait. You know what? Let's correct that. We're family. We're family. And they need to know this. We are family. We ain't just peoples. We bigger. We royalty.
Yeah.
And you right. That nigga Tariq, a whole lot of them are agents. I don't give a fuck if they're working, getting paid or not. They're agents. And people need to know that. They're part of a goddamn gang. It's a nasty gang. They're not even good historians or scholars.
You know, I think what everybody have to look at, and if you just look at back at the history and the ways we've been and how we've climbed back up. And so James brought up earlier, and this is just a small portion, but it's something that we've all been affected by. So let's take the phenomenon of music. So and we brought this up last night too. The phenomenon of music, we could start in the 20s with the big bands, Ellington, Cab Calloway, you know, the Chickasaw Sycophants.
Look at that.
These are groups that's telling you who you are. See, we tell you indigenous, but you know, you got to find out where your folks from. This is things we have to do. But this is how they like to try to come and clip us every generation or so to throw us off. So you had all those big bands in the 20s. 30 years later, what did those big bands turn into? They were still big bands, but they had turned into groups like Parliament Funkadelic, Ohio Players, still the big bands, still all the guys in the group, but we had changed it to funk, soul, whatever. So the time when it was time for that shit to come around again, they threw this shit that James told you a minute ago, this rap. And I don't care what you say. When it first started, it was shit. They just used a cool way to pull us in, the young people who was young at the time in. And then it hit a wall. In 1988, when they came up with the term African American, a gangster rap hit.
Yep.
And that shit ain't left yet.
Nope. And it's being manipulated and funded by goddamn all the Jews and the scene, them Zionists. Not all Jews are fucked up. A lot of them can't stand that shit.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. What we saying? You got to find your people and your family back and pull that family back together, because they're on one end, they're trying to destroy the family where nobody has no kids. They giving these people with these shots and stuff. You don't know what is that going to do to the procreation process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they trying to push this homo agenda on us. They're trying to say men can fight women and wrestle women. Huh?
Who just made the woman? Who made woman of the year? What the fuck?
Right. So these type things, and they're trying to blur those lines. And if we keep acting like we don't know nothing, Jesus gonna come fix it, all this nonsense. You think it's bad. You think you got it bad. Your children are gonna curse you for what you leave to them.
Damn right. And deservingly.
Deservingly.
I like where Rob was going, what she was saying. But I always think, I know that the three of us, I consider us family.
Of course.
I'm passionate to the point where when I die, I don't fear death, not one fucking bit. And people don't understand or understand. I prefer them to understand right now, because some of them need to just get on their knees, stay on their knees for a moment, and let their fucking ears, be a river, because they have a hard time understanding. Some of them can't chew bubblegum and walk. But the thing is, they need to really pay attention and listen. See, we're not doing this for a fucking bag. You know what? All the niggers, it don't matter what they believe in. If we was as smart as anybody, we'd all be liking on everybody's shit, regardless of what they doing, ass popping, whatever, and we all be getting $45,000 a month. But niggas is too stupid. Like I said, we can't even take. We're the biggest spenders. The economy runs because of us, but we won't even let this transfer our hands at least 5 or 6, maybe 7 times. If we did that, shit.
So with just what you just said alone, we don't want to see nobody with what we have, and we don't want to give nobody what we have. We don't want to share. So that's what the African American has been turned to. The African American is not the same as his forefathers in the 1920s, where all the men would get together and help one man build a house in a week.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
And the best houses.
The best.
Even the Mexicans can't build houses like we do.
And we're so far from that now. So, that's my whole thing. And it's like you said, James, you a family. It's like we were talking about Tennessee last night. Everybody knows somebody that comes through the South.
That's right.
From Texas all the way, we all connected. Yet we try to play this role. We try to be these foreigners, try to be in different gangs, because that's all it is. Gangs where they were kicked out of their places, their homes years ago. See, Moors can't go to Morocco saying nothing. You know what the Moroccans will do? I think you know.
Oh, I know. I was ambassador there. Hey, yeah, I know.
You know the Hebrew Israelites can't go to Jerusalem and talk nothing. They trying to kick them out now. See, these Africans, these Rastas going to Ethiopian. What the Ethiopians saying now? This ain't your home.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the people from this side of the earth, America, and America stretches from Alaska all the way down to Chile. So what we look like running to other places, then after a few years, they tell us, we don't want you. We don't want you in our gang.
Yeah.
So, like you have the civil rights movement. They're sitting down now. their ideologies and their beliefs, nobody listened. They didn't even listen to them. And now you got the children and the grandchildren of them up at bat. What you gonna do about it?
Mm. Mm. I'm gonna show you a picture. Let's see if I can. Let me see if I can pull it up. God damn, this thing. I think they're like, no, we don't want you showing all that, Mr. Branch. Black Capitol, Harlem in the 1920s, the New York State Museum. These look like Africans to y'all?
No.
No, them the goddamn like Francis Turtle Gang and them. That's who them peoples is. Them Indians, them the original ones that built them fake ass cathedrals they want to call churches, which weren't churches. Motherfuckers moved in everything we had and started renaming shit after the World's Fair. After they destroyed half of the shit. I got there's plenty of them here. And I'm not a mem doctor, but you know the thing about it is the information is right there. And if people don't want to look at New York State Museum, look back at the books and the history, and go back and look at all the stuff that's in the archives. They don't want to go pull out the old 19 or 1800 gazettes. They don't want to go and pull the microfilm. How are they going to know anything? But they want us to listen to these sellout niggas talking about all this African shit. Even the word African is new. I've had it. All right, Calisphere, vertigo women. Now, these would be considered Melungeons. And you can see that there's Negro in them, but a little Scot or Dutch. And when I tell my people that pale skins were always here, but if you don't know the story of the pale wolf and the dark wolf, because of the gang mentality of the education system, all the lies that you was taught. If you don't know the truth of history, then how the fuck can you know self? How can you separate yourself from the gang mentality and start taking on the light that you truly are? Fact versus fiction. Somebody, give me a towel. I feel like James Brown right now. Listen, people don't want to address these things. You know why? Because it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Most niggas is lazy as fuck. Too lazy just to do simple shit like that. And I'm using that worthless ass Google on Chrome. The shit is all laid out. We still want to be stuck in crayon colors. We still want to be pulling up shit talking about 1 little, 2 little, 3 little niggas. 5, the fuck is? We don't need that no more. We know who we are. What are we going to do? And not an abstract. What are we going to do? The goofy little gangmen, not Tariq Nasheed and all these other Hollywood. Fuck them niggas. Them niggas have sold they soul. Fuck them niggas. Thank goodness for the few of them who have stood up there and had enough is enough and says, no, we've always been here. Deion Sant, who's the guy with the basketball when they was sitting there having a little doing the thing about the basketball, homeboy Isaiah Thomas said, no, we always been here.
See, it's getting to the point where you can't deny it no more. Because everybody sees it. Everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, I'm in little Podunk, Alabama, and all these foreign people over here, they know it. Guess who don't know it?
Us.
We no, and this is what I'm saying. You want to keep quiet. Look at what happened to your people in the 40s and 50s when they was quiet. They went to their grave knowing truths that they knew they should have passed on to their children, and they didn't do it.
And some of us were lucky. Some of us were lucky because they left the Mississippi. My great, they left the Mississippi, went to the Carolinas when they popped up out of nowhere. Had the plantation there, which was no slaves, no nothing like that. And then the motherfuckers started coming and stealing children. All these bitches getting off the boat because that's why they fucked Alabama up the worst. Because that was the central head. That was our central hub of the republic.
So
And so, like my great grandmother, when she migrated up north in the 1940s, but we still had family down south that were fighters, and most of them Peckerwoods were scared of them. Hell, my great great grandpa, he had already killed a whole bunch of them, and he was Dutch and Cherokee, still a warrior with a warrior's pride.
so you have all this information. It's all right in your hands now. All you got to do is your grandmama, her mama, and you will get 1,000 times more information about yourself just going back that far, just going back to the 1900s. Do you know how much information you'll get? Because, like James said earlier, it wasn't set up how it is now.
That's right.
You didn't have Koreans over here. You didn't have people from Bangladesh over here. You didn't have Indians over here. You had your people, and how we've been killing out each other for the past 100 years. You see the results.
Actually, around 87 years.
Oh, that's close to 100.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just, I kind of like did the math.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's do it like this. Remember the
all skin folk and kin folk. We've been fucking them up. And that's what
remember
fucking us up bad.
remember the crack epidemic.
Oh, that's really what fucked us up.
So, how many of us did we kill out of each other?
Oh, shitload. Brothers and sisters, and we was killing each other. That was the whole dynamic. Oh yeah, that was a reset in itself.
Yeah. So when we kill each other out like that, it gives other people a chance to move in. That's what I'm saying. That's what the gangs were for back then, to remove you so others can move in.
Well, the feds created the gangs. I'm telling you, the Greeks, the Masonic, all them motherfuckers are the ones that propagated with money, guns, and everything, and also they all of a sudden mysteriously dead all of a sudden.
Right.
Missing. Nobody wants to do that hard work.
Right. So, we're coming up to the top of the hour. So, James, the gangs, what must we know definitely about gangs? So, I mean, we can say it here, it'll be out there, but we can speak to each other about this gangs and even telling these children something different where they look at them for real and what they're doing, so they can understand this is not what you want to do, or this is not what you want to be about.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me say this. There is no answer in gangs. It is not a family. It is not oriented as a family. It is not there to serve, protect, or keep you safe. A family is destruction. It is utter chaos. I don't care. It's a violent cycle that was established to be a violent cycle. And there is no good that comes from it. And most people that are in it will show you that they're very ignorant, blatantly so. Yeah. And it is a deep, dark, narrowing hole to the word, as we say, Jannah, darkness. There's no light. There's no good that's going to come from it. Now, some people whose hearts never were in there have been fortunate enough to be able to get away, and some have not. They paid the ultimate sacrifice. So gangs, look up the word, start doing the math. I don't care whether it's a verb or a noun. Do the math and understand that it has nothing to do with you. The gang will always say, okay, we'll take you in and we'll help you. We'll be your family. But there's a price you got to pay. See, in a family, there's no price you have to pay, but just being together and loving. So gangs are shit. Not even on a stick. Just sitting out there, drying up, withering the fuck away in the goddamn sun in the heat. It's shit. And they're a bunch of punks. The ones talking about they OGs. Motherfuckers.
Rabel, your closing remarks?
We have to, I'm glad that we did this to break down the gangs and the levels of it, and the way he broke it down with the gangs that's out on the street, and then the gangs that's with the boule, the hospitals, the police department, the CPS, the Child Protective Service. All of those are gangs, and we have to acknowledge that in order for us to move to the next level, because we already know that we are indigenous to America. Okay, now it's time for us to begin to build. Like when you had Empress Lisa on, and she talked about how we can have our Walmarts, and we can have our hospitals, we can have our own communities, but we have to start thinking on that level, because they can't refute what we're saying, and they know that. So this is why they're trying to find people to try to redirect what we're saying, and we have to begin to build higher.
Tell it, girl.
You know,
That's right.
This is important. This is really important, and don't ever forget this shit. When we say you indigenous, that means your people are here. America birthed your children. But
yeah.
also remember this. You have earth, wind, fire, water. You have a whole bunch of stuff at your disposal that most of us are scared of. And this is what I'm saying. Well, we can't have all this gang, everybody against each other, blah 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 blah. But if you just worked in harmony, harmony will work with you. It's
Yeah.
just that simple. So look, get with your families. It's like Dee Dee the Queen say, do your genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
You will find out so much about yourself. Like James telling you about his grandfather. He's telling you can see that his people are living through him still. But you got to know that and stop playing like you from one of these faraway gangs that don't have a goddamn thing to do with you.
I'm a
And
tomahawk motherfucker. That's right.
yeah, so get with your family, find out who you are, find out where they live. I'm telling you, these cats up here in Tennessee that's going through what they going through now, this is showing everybody, and it should be especially showing them. You can't let all these people just run you off and build on where your mama's buried. Can you? So I want to tell everybody thank you for coming and joining, hanging out with us tonight. And that gang thing, really think about it and think of the destruction they have caused. Pull the plug.
You know what, Kerry? I want to say this before we get off, and I love this. Nobody's even thinking about who are the church members partaking in this destruction in Tennessee. Who's the people, the niggas, the Black Caucus? Who are the ones who are like, yeah, who gonna get paid in this deception? These gang, fake ass pastor pimps and all of them, because they all involved.
Jack. So I just want to say something to the audience too. Could you guys chat me or hit me up on Facebook or whatever and help me beg Rabel to come and do a presentation of Tartaria? She blows that shit out the water.
Thank you.
So
Thank
come on, you guys help me beg her to get her here, because I know she's busy. But if she could just give us an hour or two of that time, that'd be wonderful.
Okay,
So,
we'll do that soon. Yeah, that's fine.
oh, you do it?
Oh, for sure, I'll do it, Carrie.
Damn, y'all work fast. The
You a
chat
good
works
guy, and you a very good guy. It's no problem at all.
cool,
I'm,
cool.
you know what, and I'm grateful to see this going on, because for decades nobody wanted to ever listen, and now people listen to, and I love that.
Okay, so here's Rebel. Here's Rebel in my family. So my family's from Alabama, and they all scattered all across America. I had one aunt that moved up to, is it Ohio?
I love
Now,
that.
I know Rebel's from Chicago, but Ohio's close enough. So Rebel reminds me of her. Always telling the kids, you're not what they say you are.
Mm.
You're not what they say you are. You are what you say you are. And one more thing, and this is really important, and we said this before. Remember, we get attached to the ego, how we look, everything. You are on the inside. So when your bowels is moving and you got to take a shit, I don't care what you're doing. You go take a shit. Because your inside is talking to you.
Got there right.
So Check out the inside. Don't worry about how you look, how you smell, or of course, wash your ass. But
Mhm.
your inside, where you come from, who sent you here, who did you come through to get here?
Mm.
That's who you really are, and pass that on to your children. Okay. So thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace. See you later.